So the first thing is designing the environmental product fit. So we have seen what exactly should be the product is something that we can figure out based on the previous diagram that we saw. So how should that product be positioned? So one is, how do you dress up that product? For example, if you take somebody like Toyota Prius, which is now the best selling hybrid electric vehicle kind of car from Toyota, which is the best seller in the US. It's a combination of electric and regular gas, petrol. So the advantage there is that it's supposed to be tremendously less polluting. A possible benefit is that you spend less on petrol every month. So there's a benefit in that side. So you're saving money, and also you feel you're saving the environment because of that. So how do you dress it up? Therefore, on the one side, how do you brand it, and how do you package it to make it look distinct? Can you have some mark which says green friendly or some such thing? Yes, in some places, can you get some government support and benefit because you're buying that car? Yes, you can do that. How do you also design an appropriate image and positioning for this particular vehicle as opposed to some other existing vehicle? Can you get other environmental groups to support you? Can you get others, the users to support your idea based on who the target adopter group is? So you'll find there are several things that you can do out here. Then you also have to deliver that fit, right? We have already seen about the idea itself. Can you save fuel on the one side, but more importantly, you feel you're saving the environment, and then you're actually delivering it through the means of a hybrid car, electric plus petrol, okay? And then you are actually dressing up the environmental idea. How can you help reduce fossil fuel consumption? How can you help save depletion of natural resources? How can you save the environment? So you're dressing it up in a very appropriate way, the overall idea. And specifically, you're also showing that a hybrid vehicle need not look bad. It can look good, and it can also satisfy your needs of saving some money as well. And then you also look at the overall image of that particular product, which is a combination of these two, and communicate that to the target adopter group. Use appropriate channel to deliver it to them. Now, one of the key things, like we have seen here, is not just getting people to try it, but also get them to stay with anything, whether it's products, services, and in this particular case, it could be ideas of or environmental friendly, more contemporary kind of issues in marketing. So how do you do that? One of the key things is to see what exactly is the target group doing after it is first used or purchased or tried out something of that idea or product that you have, which is environmentally friendly. So you need to monitor them, you need to figure out what they are up to. Then you actually use that research to see whether you need to make tweaks. You need to fine tune either the product or service or your message or some other thing in the overall mix. So that's really how you go about defending the fit. Sometimes you may also have to see how to take care of some of the other groups which are opposing what you have to say about these things. So overall, if you look at it, there is a certain process, and this process is pretty similar to what we have seen in some other marketing processes, but here you have to take into account the fact that you are very concerned and mindful of environmental issues. So really you need to figure out what is the environmental marketing environment outside. Second, how do you look at who is your target market for something like this? It could be quite different. If you take a hybrid car, the target market may be quite different from somebody who's just in the market for a car, which he wants to use to take him from point A to point B. The third thing is to design appropriate strategies in this regard. Fourth thing is to plan the environmental marketing mix programs, and then obviously at the end you organize it, you implement it, you control it, you review it, and you keep making changes. Now it's very important, like we've seen time and again, for any objective to be measurable. So for example, you might look at specific issues like these. How do you want to prevent accidents and the associated social and economic costs? There are several things you can have as manifestations of it. For example, wearing seat belts, keeping a safe distance on the road between vehicles, not drinking when you drive, and also appropriate pedestrian behavior, no jaywalking and so on and so forth. It may also mean many other things where the government can also help, appropriate traffic lights for example, so on and so forth. Suppose you are looking at energy conservation. Can I use energy saving devices? Can I encourage people to switch off the lights, computers, other electrical devices, etc. when they are going away, so on and so forth. Third, crime prevention, asking people not to wear jewelry when they walk out in the evenings, late hours outside in major cities in India, keeping valuables out of sight, making sure that the doors and all windows are appropriately locked. So that's specific behavior and manifestations. Fire prevention, things like make sure you always switch off the gas cylinder when you go out, or when you are not using the gas stove, making sure electrical switches and things like that, especially if there are small kids in the house, are out of reach. Similarly, things like matchboxes, lighters and stuff like that out of reach of children, not keeping or storing inflammable material here and there. So there are several manifestations that one can have for specific broad objectives that one has in mind. A key thing here is how do you communicate and reach the audience. It's not at all very different from regular products and services. Typical issues and challenges that are there are here also, whether you have mass communication, selective communication, personal communication, so on and so forth. How do you reach them through different kinds of distribution outlets, and how do you actually then monitor what the impact is on the target adopters. So if you look at it, this is becoming increasingly woven into a company's regular marketing programs. Increasingly, marketers and manufacturers are under pressure to make sure that what they are producing is in consonance with larger societal needs and requirements. So one of the key aspects is how the environmental degradation is minimized, or at least is reversed in some cases, and therefore marketers need to carefully consider such environmental issues when they are planning future programs. We have seen in all this that marketing and manufacturing companies have a role beyond just making profits just for themselves. They have to take care of the communities that they work in, the environment that they operate in. And they need to work therefore in tandem with the government and other groups and entities in this regard to ensure good environmental practices. We have already seen time and again that marketers cannot be narrow-minded. They need to look at the larger interests of their consumers when environmental marketing helps them do just that.